Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Dagger for Sightblinder. May you find shade this day, and you too, Sarah, if there's any left over. How are you?
I'm good, Adam. How are you?
I'm good. That, as far as I know, there's a lot of shade, so you're in luck today.
Yeah, you're not hogging it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm I I take the amount that I deserve and move on.
Debatable.
One might say that I get too much shade thrown at me, but
Or you throw too much shade.
yeah, last night, what was that all about? I was totally throwing shade at that guy.
Mhm.
I was like, wow, I did not realize. Anyway, so we're talking today. This is another bonus episode about episode 7 of the show Wheel of Time. And this episode is called The Dark Along the Ways. And there's a lot of crazy things that happen in it. Sarah, what did you think overall? What was your impression? Let's do this.
Okay.
Putting you on the spot.
Oh,
Where does it rank?
No.
From 1 to 7, which is your favorite? 7 is your okay, yes. Number 1 would be your favorite. Not episode 1, but which episode?
Right.
Rank it as.
Um,
This is good. You're taking a while because now I have time to think about it too.
I know. I should have thought of this while I was watching it. Okay, so initially I probably would have ranked it like 5, but I watched it twice. And after watching it the second time, I would rank it like 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a good one. It was once again a departure from the way things have been in the book, and I don't know. I'm so far I'm good with it. It's pretty weird. It's taking us along a wild ride, but
Yeah.
it's okay. This is fine. Trying to remember. So which one was the one I liked the most? I feel like it was like number 4 or something. Was that the one with the camp, the Aes Sedai camp?
That sounds right.
The one with Logain and stuff. Yeah, I think that might have been the one.
I think that was 4. It's 4 or 5.
Because in 5 they go to the empty White Tower, and then 6 is the other most recent one where the tower finally has Aes Sedai in it because they didn't want to hire actors for episode 5.
Right. Yes. So 4 would have been the one that you liked.
Yeah. So I like that one quite a bit. And then I like the most recent one quite a bit, even though that was the one that is like the deal breaker for a lot of people. And then I would say this is probably number 3 for me as well.
Yeah, I liked it. It definitely is different from the books.
It is. And yet there's a lot of similarities.
Right. Absolutely. So
yeah. There's a ton of stuff that oh my gosh, there is a lot, but I really liked some parts of it. Some part, like Min, was a surprise, very big surprise here. I didn't think we'd see her actually this season. I'm sure that if I'd paid more attention to the castings, which is something I'll do for season 2, I think I'll pay more attention. But if I'd paid more attention, I would have known that Min would show up, but I didn't, and I don't know, she was just very different from what I pictured.
I liked her though.
Okay.
Did you not like her? Like, was she different that you just couldn't like get behind her?
So there's this really big spoiler behind her appearance, kind of, that I can't, at least linked in my mind a little bit. So here's the thing that I've been dealing with a little, and it's not, you talk about like unconscious biases and stuff, like these biases that I don't really have anything negative against people. I just like when you don't expect things that to be the way they are, then it can be surprising. And so, like, for instance, in this episode, I feel like Nynaeve is like made to look very pretty compared to the other times. Like there's something changed about like they put more makeup on her, put her in better lighting or something. She's kind of more sexualized just a little bit. And and so I noticed this time, like I was like, oh yeah, she's pretty. And then it made me think, well, she was pretty in the books. Why didn't I just think the same? Like she's clearly she's an actress. She's pretty, and but what I realized was in the books, she's, at least I always assumed she was just a white girl, like a pretty white girl. And so when I see this Nynaeve, she doesn't fit that expectation. She's,
right.
And so it's not nothing like negative about. And then, once I kind of like realized that I was just expecting one thing and therefore was like holding her to a different standard, then I was like, oh yeah, okay, well, I could be okay with this. And Min is also a pretty white girl and she's not here, so I'm still trying to deal with that a little bit, but otherwise the actress was fine. She did good. She did well.
Yeah, that's fair. You just have to kind of let go of, I don't want to even say let go, because it's kind of like when you read a book and then you see the film adaptation or the TV show adaptation. Do you picture it the way you originally pictured it in your imagination, or do you picture it the way it's now portrayed? Right. So you kind of have to have these two distinct experiences.
Yeah, you're right about that. I think that the show is, especially now, it's so different that I'll just end up having two different pictures of these characters. Nynaeve in the books will remain a pretty white girl, but not because I refuse to have this one replace her. It's just this one is different. She's like, it's a different story. So
right,
and have the same name and do similar things.
Right.
Yeah. Fair. And people. So.
Well, should we talk about the show overall then? Like, do we want to just get into it?
Yeah, sure. What do you think? What are we going to start with?
Do we want to just start with the opening scene? Because that was intense.
Opening scene, like, so they're like, walking through the ways.
No, it's blood.
Oh, yeah. Jeez, that was intense. Oh man. Well, yeah. So
what are you not saying?
She's like right on the edge of, she's in labor.
I know.
And she's killing people with two hands on her, like so Aiel, any given Aiel men, I'd be like, or woman, like the Maidens of the Sphere, I'm fine with them destroying people the way she was destroying them.
Yeah,
I was totally good with it. Someone in the middle, and she's in late stage labor. She's about to start pushing.
Yeah.
And yet she is still killing people, like tons of people. And I'm sorry, I've been in the delivery room twice. I know that people can't walk. Like, it's not like it's and she's killing trained armed soldiers with her spear, dual wielding. It was cool choreography, and I would have been totally behind it if it had been like if she had like her own warder or something, if she had someone else protect it. But I was like,
or if she had gone into labor right after, would that have changed it? Like, if she wasn't in active labor?
Sure, yeah. But she was clearly like, reacting to the labor pains, and then she just like sat down and gave birth. And so, yeah, that to me, that was maybe the only part of the episode I was like, this is so dumb. I couldn't disconnect reality. I'm like, this just couldn't happen. What did you think?
See, I didn't have that reaction.
It's fine.
I just thought it was awesome.
I'm all about a pregnant woman destroying people. Totally good with that. I would love to see that. Just not in active labor.
My thought process is, and I mean, like, I don't know, I haven't been in active labor, but my thought process is, if you know that your life and your baby's life is on the line, I don't think it matters if you're in active labor. I think you're going to try and fight your way out of it.
You might try. I think it would be too distracting. I think the pain would get to you. Maybe not. The Aiel are good at ignoring pain. So
maybe she has a high pain tolerance. Just to play devil's advocate.
I'm just not sold. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to be.
It's fine. It's there. It would have been way better to me if if all of that fighting had induced labor, if she'd been like, oh
Right.
shoot, oh now, okay, now, that would have been a lot better.
So do you think then that they did it that way just to kind of portray just how skilled the Aiel are at fighting?
Could be. I mean, it certainly got the point across that
Right.
Aiel aren't to be messed with. Like, even if one Aiel can be in labor and kill that many people that skillfully, how many people could a peak condition Aielmen kill?
Well, and so this actually answered the question for me as well, knowing that she was in active labor while this was happening, because one of the things that people picked up on in images was that she didn't have her face covering raised when she was in battle. She had like drawn it down, right? And I would feel like if you're in active labor, you don't really care.
Probably not. No.
Like, it looked like she was moving it because she was like gasping for air because she was in pain. That's the vibe that I got from it.
Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah, it was super intense. It was fine. It just kind of annoyed me. I'm like, it just you bend me too far and sometimes you lose me, I guess.
But, fair. Valid. Yeah. So anyway, so this whole thing, though, we see it in two parts of the episode because we only see like the first half, this opening scene, and then we see the second bit of it when later on from Min's narrative, basically. Sure. And it's pretty much, spoiler alert, Rand's birth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So kind of cool that we get to see it. I
thought it was funny. They just like use the baby to block the shot to, you can't see anything, which is fine. Like I just kept thinking, I don't know, for whatever reason, she kept like sitting down and I was like, oh, like she was tearing open her pants or whatever. And that's fine. I was just like, wait, I'm not ready for this. And then like, cause it's like giving birth. It's not.
Yeah.
I was just like, no, I don't need this. Oh, okay. They weren't going to show it. Okay.
They weren't going to show it. No.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I didn't have enough time to be rational about it. I was just like, no. Oh, okay.
Fair. Yeah. So that's the opening scene. And then we go to the ways, which, by the way, was so cool. The transition there of just a black screen.
By the ways. Yeah.
By the ways, super cool transition to the ways.
Yeah. A black screen.
Yeah. You hear them talking and then they light their torches.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it was cool. And I thought it's so interesting how they've made Loial such a tiny part. Like his acting part, the part he plays is just so, it's like, oh, it's very Loial. But okay, you had your like 2 sentences, like you're done for the episode.
Right. You can tell that he's just kind of there. I don't even want to say guiding them because he doesn't even really act like a guide. It's like Moiraine's guiding them and she's just making sure she's doing the right thing with his input.
Right. Oh yeah, and I mean she's clearly in charge there, but
totally.
Yeah, that's it's whatever. And then they changed Machin Shin.
Right.
So, it's the Black Wind or whatever. I always get that and Mashadar mixed up.
Right. Mashadar was what we saw in Shadar Logoth.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even though it didn't really look how I visualized it. But
right.
Yes.
Yeah, it killed Bella. And rip Bella.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Oh, poor Bella.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. But I thought it was actually an interesting. So in the books, Mashadar is no. Not Machin Shin.
That's the one.
It's the one in the ways, and it in the books it's just like this really bloodthirsty, like really creepy poetry kind of like, bones to snap the bone so sweet, sweet the blood. And it's just like, it's actually, when you hear the narrator in the books say it,
Mhm.
it sounds almost like, it's not pleasant necessarily, but it's got some kind of like a chant to it. It's very
Right.
but it makes no nonsense. It's supposed to make you crazy in the books, but this one, I guess it is kind of making them crazy, but instead of just like actually just making them crazy people, it told them like truths, or it told them at least their greatest fears,
Yeah.
kind of. And I thought that was really interesting. I liked that, actually, that change.
It's very Harry Potter Horcrux.
How does that work? I don't remember what the
Um,
Horcruxes do.
when they open, there's one that's a locket. When they open it to trying to kill it, it does this. Voldemort's soul does the same thing to Ron, just starts telling him all of his greatest fears.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
literally don't remember that. I've read that book at least one time.
it's in the last one. It's fine, but it's that kind of vibe. But I did enjoy how they did it with like all of the voices and everything echoing. And
Oh man. Well, it gave us some good insight to the characters. I thought that was a
yeah.
good way to do it, especially because Perrin, it's like, great,
Hmm.
like you've already gotten over your wife being dead. Now how are we going to hear what you have to think? And now we get this.
And now we get right. It's a nice little workaround.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's why they changed it. It must be why they changed it.
Well, I thought it was a great mechanic. Instead of just being like this nameless fear, we already have too many things in the show that are scary for no reason. Kind of
Mhm.
like white cloaks are just, you run into them and you're suddenly terrified. You have Trollocs that can appear anywhere, especially including the Ways apparently,
Mhm.
and you've got dark friends, and you've got any number of people who just hate whatever faction and they want to kill you, and it's not a safe world. I'm like, how did those farmers that they ran into way back, like
Yeah.
Rand and Matt, and that, like, they died just randomly. How did they live that long though?
Right.
Yeah,
In
I
this.
just in this just everyone dies all the time
Mhm.
for anything because of malevolent forces everywhere. You know.
Mhm. Totally.
Um. So I mean, in a way, it frustrates me that I feel that way about this world. That it's just this. I don't know. I don't think maybe you've gotten to the point in the books where there's some times that people go into, like, they're taking their trials to be Aes Sedai or to become accepted or whatever. And so in some of those times, there's created like a world where the Dark One is one or
Mhm.
whatever, and they're trying to, or maybe it's dreams or prophecies. Like, there's all sorts of, there's
Yeah.
a few different ways that they do it, but they show, like, if the Dark One wins, this is how the world is. It's this very awful dystopian situation where, only people are only evil, and there's only bad things that happen. And this world almost feels like one of those in a way from the
One of
books.
those trials.
Yeah, like one of
Mhm.
those just grim, dark, like there's no good anywhere,
Yeah.
or it's all hopeless. But whatever. I can. It's not as bad as that, and there's actually a lot of good things in this episode. A lot of evidence that people that are good people fighting the dark.
Right. Um, what did you think of the depiction of the Ways?
I liked it, actually.
Yeah.
Pitch dark everywhere, and then at
Mhm.
first I thought that it would be more kind of raw and mountainous. It looked like, when I first saw it, it looked like they were going to have to be climbing and scrabbling around on rocks and
Right.
stones and stalactites and stuff, but in reality it was just paved stone, and then there were kind of walls around it, which was more impressive visually than they're portrayed in the books. Frankly, I thought that was a good addition. What did you
Yeah.
think?
No, I liked it. I liked that. And it lended a lot of um value, I think, to Loyal, which is hilarious because we just talked about how he's kind of like in the background, but he's the one that's reading these basically directions that have been like they look like they've been marred so that no one else could make their way
Mhm.
through the ways. And I thought that was a really great way to highlight, like, this is how you travel through it. You have to have someone who knows,
Yep.
how to read this and make your way through it. So I liked it.
I thought it was cool. Yeah. And
Mhm.
then, yeah, I thought it was cool. And then Egwene, who you think channeled,
Right?
and I mean, I guess we could just, if people are listening to this, we're not going to incrementally spoil things. We can
No.
spoil things the whole way. So I thought, so I didn't. Uh, I'm just maybe unobservant, so I'm not.
Right.
This isn't a criticism. I didn't
Right.
notice when Rand used the power initially in
Yeah.
episode 3 when he burst through the door. I didn't
Oh,
see the
okay.
power like hit the power come out of him to go through it.
So this is the thing. So, and I picked up on this because I watched the episode twice, and I'm pretty sure they did the same thing in episode 3. They didn't show the power in episode 3. You just kind of, for me, I remember when I watched episode 3, you just knew what was happening based off the camera movement. Like the camera just did this weird
Okay.
movement and you knew it was him. Anyway, doesn't matter. But what I thought was really cool in this episode, so later on in the episode, when Rand is kind of like going through his mind, like accepting that he's probably the dragon, he's going and he's thinking back to when he knocks the door down and he channels in the ways and all this. You see all of these shots.
Hmm.
The shot in this, when it first happens, when you think it's Egwene, it's the same shot, but it's zoomed in. So it's not as wide of a, because I went back and watched it again. I'm like, you don't actually see all of Rand in there. They zoom in on it so
Okay.
much that it makes you think it's Egwene. And then later on, it's the
Mm.
full thing pulled it back out.
That makes me feel better then, because
It's absolutely brilliant cinematography.
brilliant. Wow.
Like, because I went back and I was like, they had to have like, did I just overlook this? And I was like, no, they just were so creative in how they shot it, and then did a big, like, pun intended, a bigger reveal of the actual scene later on.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think. I mean, it's a cool way to reveal it, and I was fine with it. I thought it was a cool twist, but
Yeah.
and frankly, I was just like, when did Egwene get so good at channeling suddenly?
I think so. When she was like, I didn't mean to channel, I immediately thought back to when she was in the Amyrlin seat with Nynaeve, and they're like, oh, the Amyrlin seat was like, oh, I hear you're one of
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah. Oh, I am the best.
Yeah.
No, that's Nynaeve.
No, she's like, I didn't mean to channel. They're like, it wasn't you.
It wasn't you. No.
Wasn't you. And then, so like this happens, and then we see Nynaeve just shoot off another bomb, like,
Yeah.
which was amazing. I
Yeah.
really like Nynaeve.
I just like Nynaeve's display of raw power. She's just keeps
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
So good.
The way they're doing the channeling and stuff. I mean, it's actually it's similar in some ways to how the book is done, where
Mhm.
where Moraine actually does use the power to stave it off at the very last minute and stuff. So I thought it was kind of well depicted, anyways, and I've been very impressed overall at the visual representation of different things,
Mhm.
like the metaphysical things that are happening in the book, where like you see the power and you show like the black parts of the power and the white, and
Yeah.
the taint or whatever. But then you didn't like Machin Shin, or you didn't like Mashadar.
I didn't like Mashadar.
I thought it was okay. I liked that they were able to show it, at least like they did a visual representation.
Yeah. It's not that I didn't like it. I just pictured it more as like a fog.
And that's how it's described in the books.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. That was a little bit off, but then I really liked Ma Chin Shin.
Yeah. I liked it too.
I thought it looked cool, the visual representation of it. So good on them for doing that. And then So they're all told their deepest, darkest secrets. Oh, one thing I did want to mention, this is going a little bit back to the Blood Snow real quick. I just thought it was funny. It really reminded me, there was this one part that reminded me of the Invincibles. Is that what it's called? The kids movie?
Yeah.
Where you're not supposed to get capes if you're a superhero.
Yeah.
And there's this one part where she grabs the guy by the cape and just kills him. And I was like, that's why you never wear a cape.
Yeah. That's why you don't want them. Yep. Oh man. Yeah. That was actually a really cool scene. So
well, I was like, well, I didn't care about the physics that it defied. I was, I was stuck on the fact that she was in labor, but it was a very cool part. And especially that part where she just like grabbed his cape and destroyed him. It was cool. Anyways, we can move on to so that they leave, and we see Fal Dara, the borderland, and it's in Tarwin's Gap apparently, which is different from the books, but it makes more sense that it would be in Tarwin's Gap, in my opinion. What were your thoughts? Did it look like Fal Dara to you?
No.
What did you expect?
I don't know what I necessarily expected. I just wanted it to look different, and it felt like it wasn't different enough from like, oh man, I'm totally blanking, from Tar Valon, which is hilarious because Tar Valon looks so clean and elegant and everything like that, and it just didn't. It felt very similar to, especially like when they were on the streets, in particular, like when they see Padan Fain. I was like, first of all, I was like, why is he there? But I mean, it makes sense. But
you see him walking out of the Waygate, anyways.
But still,
well, then Perrin's like, was that Padan Fain? Oh, before that.
Yeah.
Perrin used his wolf eyes to see the wayfinder, the little pedestal, whatever. And they're like, well, how could you see that? No one else could. And he's like, I don't know. There's two cool wolf parts for him. That was one of them. So
it's all coming together slowly.
Yeah, there's another wolf part in this episode though that I thought was really interesting. I'm interested to know. Now that I've said that, I'm wondering if you can pick, if you know what it is off the top of your head, if you picked up on it too.
I don't know. Now
I'm worried. It's more subtle, much more subtle, and maybe it's me reading into things.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, can I tell you now? Because it's in the middle of that dramatic part between him and Rand. It's where he says, like, I've never loved anyone but my wife, but he says it in the lowest growly voice ever. He just says, like, I've only loved, like, you could barely distinguish it. It sounded like a wolf would say it, in my opinion. Like,
see, and I didn't pick up on that because I just thought he was so mad.
Well, I think that was part of it, was he was like, attuning to that part of his nature.
He did, like, in that whole interaction, I did feel like he was very, it was the exact same body language when him and Egwene were in the White Cloaks when they were captured by the White Cloaks, and he, like, broke free kind of thing.
Okay.
It was the same body language from him.
Okay. Well, he was, like, physically intimidating Rand. Like, he was, which he's taller than him and whatever.
It was the same body language for me. Like, that was my immediate connection.
Okay. That makes sense. Like, he's starting to be an intimidating wolf of a man, kind of.
Yeah. So anyway, we're hopping around, but
we are.
Yeah, I thought the city was fine. So to be honest with you, I actually thought a good chunk of this episode was filler. Like, especially the first watch through, I was like, okay, like, we're not getting anywhere. Like, let's keep going here.
I think you're right. I was thinking about that. I think you're right that it was kind of filler, but people get mad about filler, and it was all cool filler to me. I liked every part of it, and so to me, people complain about filler, and I was good. I like it when they're giving us more depth to characters and stuff.
So I wasn't necessarily bad. I just wanted to see where they were going to take the episode. And when I watched it the second time, this is why I need to watch things twice. It was way more enjoyable the second time. Even like the parts that I originally thought were filler parts were much more enjoyable, because exactly what you said, you're picking up on all of these character developments and everything. So
yeah, so if I ever just like don't like a movie or something,
just watch it again.
And terrible advice.
Just watch it again, it'll be fine.
Yeah, all right. So this is good. You're helping me determine who I should take advice from, and it's not you.
It's rude.
It's rude of you to offer poor advice. Dear Lord.
I literally just said that when I watched it again, it was much better.
Well, I'm glad that it worked out for you.
Anyway.
No. I am that is good though. I do think so. There is a lot of value to that sort of thing. I think if you just hated the episode, it wouldn't have been wise for you to watch it. But it wasn't that you hated it. You just happen to have enough time, and we do a podcast on this show. Like, why wouldn't I think if I had enough time, that would be a wise thing for me to do too, regardless of how I felt about the episode. So
right,
I'm just being difficult for no reason. It's very similar to the misunderstanding of ravens or whatever it's called.
You're being you're not an unkindness of ravens right now. You're a stubbornness of rhinoceros.
Oh my gosh. I really stick handled that up, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Okay, so I'm trying to think of what else has happened here before we get really into it. Go ahead.
Okay, real quick, I do want to say Fal Dara, I thought it was cool. At first, the original shots that they took of Fal Dara in the trailer made it seem like a lone, tiny little fortress in the middle of nowhere that I was like, that can't possibly be Fal Dara. But I thought this was cool. It took me a little bit. The thing that was messing with me is that it's kind of desert terrain, and I never pictured the borderlands to be desert. I always pictured them to be just, I don't know, very similar to if you've watched Lord of the Ithilien area, like kind of it's just like a wooded area, like it's kind of like the area that Sam and Frodo and Gollum are, making their way through when they're captured by Faramir, like that kind of, and so there's glimmers of darkness, and the blight is always, a looming presence, but I always pictured it being a little bit more, maybe a little more mountainous landscape on top of all of that, but I didn't picture it as desert. So it took me a minute. I'm fine with it though. And it was just cool. It was a big old fortress. I would love to see a huge epic battle in it.
Yeah, they definitely, it did seem secluded though, like in the desert, and like they are perfectly capable of defending themselves.
Yeah, well, I thought it was funny. They were like, really? Like, you're gonna come and advise us, Aes Sedai? Like, you need to shut up and let us do our job. Which was funny. I mean, they've been doing a really good job of demonstrating the diminished power of the Aes Sedai, actually.
Right.
Here, because like Logain kind of hints at it, or he just flat out says it, and they kind of deny it or whatever. But you have the white cloaks with the rings, and they're clearly like displaying it, and they're showing the trophies. They're preaching against the Aes Sedai. There's a few different times that they're talking about that. And then even at Fal Dara, which has had good alliances with the White Tower, even there, like, can you just butt out? We're kind of sick of you.
Yeah, that's a good point. So can we just acknowledge before I forget the fact that Moraine wants to send a message to go look for like Matt is not with them, and to the Red Aja.
Yeah, I was like, what the?
What?
Yeah, I actually swore when I was like, yeah.
I was like, is she doing that because there's a possibility that she still thinks there's a possibility that he could be a dragon, so she wants him to be, supervised before he goes bad? Because she said it in the ways to Lan, like there was no way for him to come because she knew if he is the dragon, he would.
Oh dear Lord. Yeah. I was like,
sorry, do you want me to stop?
No, please continue.
No, but she basically was like, we can't have him with us because he's not going to do what I need him to do.
Yeah, I didn't like Moraine at that moment, because it seemed so short-sighted, I guess. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. She's like, oh, if she is the Dragon Reborn, we don't want him anyways. Like, we're too good for him, kind of. I've seen this how much darkness have you seen? You haven't been with him for like you saw him for a few days, and then you got separated at Shadar Logoth, and then you saw him, you healed him from his dagger, and that was it. And how much does she know about Shadar Logoth and the dagger? Like, some maybe, but it was feeding off his darkness. I was like, snap judgments, anyone? Like, just like it's almost like she told him to stay or something.
Right.
I would not be surprised if we see a flashback of her telling the new actor Matt,
yeah,
when we're all here, you're gonna do everyone a favor by staying here. And then it'll show a new cutthroat side of her when she's like, yeah, like, now I'm gonna sick the reds on you, boy. Like, I don't want anyone to know about this.
Ugh. Yeah. Well, yeah, but she was having this little conversation, and my eyebrows were so far up, like I couldn't believe it. So yeah,
she just kind of pissed me off a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, and we don't see Matt this episode at all.
I know. It makes me keep wondering if we're going to see him again this episode or this season.
I don't think we will. I think that's it.
I hope they don't kill Matt. Oh, they can't, I guess. I just keep thinking.
They recast him.
You're right. I'm so paranoid because he does so many important, awesome things.
I don't think they will. I think for whatever reason, this was the moment where he couldn't continue filming.
It could be.
So I don't think we see him the rest of the season.
I want to see him though. I really like this actor. I'm sad. Anyways, we can lament.
Yeah.
We'll have time to cry when we're dead, or something.
It's dark.
It will be.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that, and then what else is there? That's a whole bunch. The whole Rand, Egwene, Perrin, Nynaeve fiasco. So Moraine essentially tells them that one of them is most likely the dragon. They need to go to the Eye of the World, and anyone who goes that is not the dragon is going to die.
Yeah, which, yeah,
that's different.
Sure. It made it. I was like, whoa, what? They don't trust you that much.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Well, and they don't trust you that much just based off Nynaeve being like, stop lying. Like Nynaeve doesn't trust her so much that I think Nynaeve knows, like an Aes Sedai can't lie, like exactly like what Moraine said, but she doesn't trust her enough that she is convinced that she's still lying somehow.
Well, she had evidence of it when Moraine didn't tell her about the, because Moraine said she'll bring her to them. She didn't say she would tell her about it. And then, she doesn't trust her, and she kind of shouldn't. Moraine is just she's pulling all the strings, and it's fine on it. Like, it's kind of interesting. I like to see Moraine as this master manipulator kind of, but at the same time, it's like I like her, I admire her, and yet I could see I like her because I'm watching it. I think I wouldn't like her if I was in person, if I was experiencing that.
Right.
The full Moraine, the Moraine show, just her whole everything. And then Lan even he's like, well, you gave him a semblance of a choice.
Right.
Like she clearly had no intention of just letting him march off. She was just very cavalier about, oh, everyone's just gonna die except for the dragon. So
we're all going.
Yeah.
Field trip.
Well, I did think it was interesting though. She didn't say that she would die or that Lan would die, but it was kind of implied. She said, like, are there people you have to say goodbye to and stuff to Lan? There's just this certain level though, and that this is why you can admire her so she's asking other people to die, but she fully expects that she will also die, and is so okay with that she's just trying to talk them into it. She's already made her choice.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. So fine.
But no, and I felt like the craft of this story was so well done, actually, of this episode, because there's so many different levels up, because it starts off with the wind, the Matmach and Shin telling us all of their darkest secrets or whatever, their fears and everything, and then Moraine is like, we're gonna go, and everyone, all of us will die except for one. And then they're all tense anyways. They look around at each other and think, well, do I hope that I live, or do I hope I die? Because if I live, then everyone in this room is dead. Everyone I know and care about is just gone. Oh, so which one do you want to be? And then of course that puts so much tension on them that they're just reading into everyone's words, and it's very well done. I thought it was really cool. And Perrin and Egwene, so interesting. I was watching it with my wife, and I was like, there is before any of this came out, before, like, right as we were starting to watch, I was like, well, there is like textual evidence in the books that kind of show that Perrin kind of has a thing for Egwene, but he's always kind of kept it down. And I was telling her that, like, just if you're really paying attention, which if you've read it 3 or 4 or 5 times like me, you start paying attention to these little details. And there's one little part that he says, well, there was always Rand there, so he was always with Egwene, so like but it kind of implied he has preference for Egwene,
right? And then, but he doesn't act on it because Rand's there.
Yeah, like that happens. It's fine. That's good. He was honorable about it. But the fact that and then immediately after that, it showed that. I was like, hey, look, remember how I was telling you about this tiny little detail? I was like, yeah, I'm smart.
So then I assume that this detail did not bug you.
No, I honestly, I think that's more textually evident, honestly, and that's part of why I don't think he gets along with Aram at all in the books, is because on some level, it's not just that she's would potentially be cheating on Rand. It's almost also like, well, if Rand wasn't here, I'd be interested.
Right.
So, like, don't cheat on me, like potential me, kind of.
Right. Like he would rather have the opportunity versus Aram.
Pretty boring Aram in the books, yeah.
Right.
Which, yeah. So anyways, it's kind of a lot, but it was so interesting of what does Nynaeve, she's like, you're always fighting over who's gonna get her.
Yeah.
And Rand is like, what? We don't fight about that. I've never seen this. What's Nynaeve even talking about?
It's funny because it's exactly that. Like, if you are fighting over her, then you would both be involved in the fight. But clearly Rand is just obtuse to it.
Yeah, oblivious.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of it is just like the fear that was spoken is just manipulating him now, right? Like,
right. Well, they didn't tell us the biggest factor
no,
either.
no, they did not. So, yeah.
Yeah. So they're all pissed off at each other. They go their separate ways. And
Mhm.
poor Perrin, he's just left alone.
By himself. Yeah, because
Mhm.
Rhiannon and Gwen end up together, and so do Lan and Nynaeve.
Which I liked their whole little arc there. And Moraine, even though she and Nynaeve have always been adversarial in this season,
Yeah.
She told Lan, I like her. I think she's
I
cool.
know. I was like, oh, is this like, is she giving him permission?
Yeah, well, it's another sign that Moraine has emotions that she doesn't let get in the way of what she sees as her duty.
Right.
She sees Nynaeve as she likes her, but maybe she'd treat her differently, but she knows she just has to bludgeon Nynaeve into doing the things she needs to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So what did you think of the whole family scene? Lan goes and
I really liked it. I like getting to see all of these little like character building moments for them and like learning why they are the way they are. So it's also just nice too to have a scene like that it's like a little bit of a palate cleanser because the episode is so dark and heavy anyway. Like
intense,
they're all gonna die except for one. Like you're all gonna die. And then you have this nice little like it's literally basically a family reunion.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little mood breaker basically or whatever.
I really liked it, and it had the feeling of he's bringing home a girl that he likes, kind of get your blessing.
Yeah, it did.
Gosh, I laughed so hard. I had to pause. I was laughing so hard. She was looking, she's staring at him through the window, smiling, and then she turns around and he apparently just like
operated.
That's the word I was thinking, actually. It just like just poof in her face. I was like, nah. Yeah, it's so funny. Just like impossible, but funny and fine at the same time.
Yeah, that was
like they could have done that, pulled that off a little bit because it was meant to be funny, I think, but it was too extreme, kind of.
Right.
Like it just made me laugh. Such a small detail, so I can't nitpick it exactly. I just know that it made me loll for a little bit.
Yeah.
Before I had to get control of myself, I'm like, I'm missing important dialogue. I gotta stop.
You have to pause it. No, but I like that whole thing overall. And then they go back to Lan's room.
Yeah, it was funny. So clearly they had this moment of just looking in each other's eyes, and then he's like, all right, I'm going to bed. And then,
yeah, when he did that, I was like, okay, is this like a out of respect to Moraine thing? Like what's happening? And then she just walks on in.
Yeah, it's funny.
She's like, nah, that I'll just follow you. It's fine.
Well, the thing that I was laughing at, so then they're like kissing, and that's fine. It implies they're gonna do stuff. And then the next time we see her, she's still in that room wearing the exact same clothes. I'm like, did you take anything off, or like just fun?
Well, she probably put it back on.
Yeah, I know. But it just, I'm like, he's just asleep in the bed, and she's just doing her hair, and it was just this really weird. I'm like, did he just pass out? They like kissed for a little bit, and then he's like, I gotta get some sleep.
Yeah,
go.
He's got to be well rested.
Yeah. Nynaeve says, oh, that's okay. I just needed to braid my hair a little anyways, so I'll do that. You get some sleep. We'll be good.
Yeah. Did you notice she was tugging her braid this episode?
A little bit. She was kind of.
She was. Just I noticed it, so
it's fine.
Yeah.
Her interaction with her braid. She doesn't. I don't feel like she starts tugging her braid till later books, though.
I'm only in book 3, and they've already been talking about her tugging her braid.
Yeah, book 3. This is too early if we're going strictly by book 1 and 2, but it is a very iconic Nynaeve thing, and it's actually a mark of personal growth at some point. I don't want to.
Noted.
I don't want to spoil things. There's a lot in this episode specifically that I want to spoil, because like Min especially is an interesting character that is all throughout the rest of the series, but I can't tell you how significant she is in what way. There are important things, but they are way down the line.
Right.
So I can't spoil that. And now I liked, so one thing I really liked about Lan was how humble he was about he's like, yeah, I'm a king, basically. I'm a prince, I'm a king.
Right.
I hate it when he calls me that, though. He's got a place of honor with these borderlanders, these tough people who protect everyone from Trollocs, and a lot of people don't even realize Trollocs exist. And he's got a place of honor, though. People trust him. And I just like that she had to drag it out of him. He doesn't just go and say, look, babe, I'm the effing king of Malkier. Like, do you know who I am?
He just doesn't. He just don't. It's almost like he doesn't want anything to do with it.
Almost, but when he talks about it, though, he treated it with such respect and regret.
Yeah, absolutely. He just doesn't want the title.
Yeah, I think it's more that he doesn't, I don't think he wants it to define him exactly, because of what's lost. And he even says, like, they talk about it a little bit of he didn't have a purpose until he met Moiraine. He didn't have something to die for.
Or live for.
Or live, whatever he
said both. Yeah. He said both, live and die for. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and then we get to see more of the glorious Lan bod. Yep. No butt, though, this time.
No butt this time.
Sorry about that for you.
It's fine. I will survive.
We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be okay. But while all this is going on, you have Rand and Egwene.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's such a funny thought. It was like, he's like, well, I could be your warder. Like, there's this moment that I wanted. Well, I called it first. I'm like, oh, and now he's gonna ask to be your warder, and then he did. But I was like, what if she's like,
nah,
I could do better.
Oh man.
Or what if she said, actually, I talked to Perrin about that. Right? I'm gonna, like, he's got, I
think Perrin would do a better job.
Like, Perrin's already got that. He's already staked that claim. I can't do anything about it. Like, maybe if I'm agreeing, we can get you in, but I'm not sure.
Maybe if I'm agreeing. Oh man. Yeah, this scene between Egwene and Rand was just real weird for me.
I thought it was, I love how sharp they were with each other. She's like, I'm gonna leave, and he's like, or she says something, he's like, well, you're the expert on leaving, or something to her.
They're just throwing jabs at each other.
I love how spiteful they are. It just makes me laugh for some reason.
Well, it's just, it's so weird to see because they're so spiteful to each other, but they don't want to lose each other. Like, exactly what you just said. He offers to be her warder, but he's throwing all these jabs at her about her leaving.
Well, because they come from such a place of pain and person, like, he cares so much, clearly, that when he thinks, he's just so bitter, he's like, and then he had that moment of honesty where he just says, I just don't want to lose you,
right?
And whatever. I just thought I liked Rand in this one. I didn't like that he was missing with his arrow shots. That was not true to the book. Like, all the Two Rivers kids the Two Rivers gang can shoot their bow and arrow and hit the target every time.
I mean, he does eventually, but
why?
takes
Why is there? It's like a shift of focus. He's decided to focus now. He's got it kind of defines what a shift in his mentality. He's like, all right, we're gonna have sex one more time, and then we're gonna go save the world.
Go save the world.
Right.
Because probably everyone else will be dead.
Right. Well, like, yeah, so I liked Rand in this episode, actually. He talks to Min and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked him this episode. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Talks to Min, you know, he pretty much already knows at that point that he's the dragon and just wants her to deny it, and she doesn't.
Like, he was the only one that didn't have a thing that that everyone else, you could say, okay, so Egwene, like, it doesn't have as much power as Nynaeve, but she's born on the right time. Nynaeve is born around the right time, and she's super powerful. Perrin has wolf things going on. Mat has the dagger and is acting in a way that maybe he is channeling, who knows. And Rand,
right, he doesn't have a thing.
He has a warm coat, you know,
and a heron marked sword.
Yeah, but he's Rand, like, kind of just, you know, erstwhile lover of Egwene. Soon to be warder.
Oh, soon to be warder.
She's like, that was the other thought I had. She's like, well, if you're gonna be my warder, you're gonna have to be better shot than that.
You can't keep missing. Yeah. So I think you're right, though. Like, it felt like a shift of focus, because he goes back out there afterwards and just, you know, doesn't miss at all. And this is when he's having all these flashbacks to when he channeled.
Right. Well, yeah, it was so interesting. I liked the way they did it. And then I really loved that Egwene went to see Nynaeve and the bed, and then it was so quiet. And I was like, is Padan Fain gonna enter? Are we gonna see a merger? Are we gonna have a twist? And then Nynaeve comes and they kind of, she doesn't confront her, but she's like, oh, like, looks like you got some strange last night, you know.
Didn't sleep. Couldn't sleep, didn't sleep.
Chose not to.
Yeah. So I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was funny. And then Perrin's in there. They're all just having
Perrin comes in, he's like the only one of the Edmonds Field people who didn't get to hook up last night.
Oh man.
Not by choice though. I would have, but
poor Perrin. Yeah.
Well, so going back to the Perrin thing though, so that it makes way more sense now that they talk about Egwene, because it's Egwene had her becoming a woman ceremony or whatever,
right?
And then the question, he was like, you didn't even go to her party. It's because Layla knew that he liked Egwene,
right? Yeah.
So, like, she just didn't go out of jealousy, kind of.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, I'm all over the place with my connections, but I
didn't think of that. No, but I like that. So, yeah, this is basically pretty much the end, because Lance shows up, and this also was really nicely shot, how you have Rand going to knock at a door, and then the door opens and it's Nynaeve, but then it's Lance standing at the other side of the door.
Yeah.
Like, it was just really nicely done. And that's when, you know, they all realize that Rand and Moiraine are taken off. She's masked herself to Lan. So all of this is just this is the one thing that I don't know.
In fairness, Lan did probably mask himself Moiraine for at least a little bit as well.
I mean, yes, yes, true.
Masking was necessary.
Yeah. The only, I don't even know if this really bothered me, by the way, was just how Rand learned he was the dragon, because it is different from the books. And I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm okay with it in terms of it being done this way for a show.
It felt a little bit, what it felt like was House a little bit, like, not that he's this precocious genius like House is, but in that show, it's the doctor who's solving a medical case, for those people who haven't watched it. And so he takes all these different random things, and at the end he just did always like clicks, and he's just from some random thing. And so he takes all of this evidence, and he really doesn't want to be the dragon, but he at the end of the day, he's like, okay, so my dad told me all this stuff, so there's that. And then Min told me a little bit more of the story, so there's that. And then I opened that door when I shouldn't have been able to, so and then I was the one who channeled against the Trolloc. Go ahead.
Yeah. So did this I thought was kind of funny, because so Moiraine is like, I don't know which one of you it is, but it's one of you, and the rest of us are gonna die. And then he just shows up and is like, yeah, it's me. How, like, wouldn't you need to convince her that it's you? Like,
he walked like, if I was Moiraine, to talk to her.
I'm sure he did, but I just find it funny, because it's like, you could theoretically go, like, let's say it's Perrin does this, and now Moiraine and Perrin go by themselves to the Eye of the World, and they both die because neither of them is the dragon.
Yeah, he's like, I promise I'm the dragon.
It's me.
Well, I think we didn't see it, but I think he just told her. So Min clearly didn't tell her about
right,
and so that was a really important element. And I can't remember if the show's talked about it, but in the books, the prophecy is that the babe is born on Dragonmount. And so, he has proof that he was born on Dragonmount. And if Min hadn't shared that with Moiraine at that point, then him telling her that and saying a corroborating story with his dad also saying how he was found, kind of.
Right.
It seems to me like that would be enough evidence.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I just found it funny, but.
Yeah. So, and to note, she still thinks she's gonna die, but she's still going.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, and then it just, they're headed into the Blight. It ends.
Which is not how I thought the Blight would look, by the way.
No, I didn't think it would look like that either. Did you catch like the skeleton? Yeah. Yeah, but I will point out though, the music in this episode was spot on.
Nice.
Especially like when they're headed into the Blight.
I'd have to listen to it again. I don't remember. I didn't pick up on the music that much. Normally I listen for that sort of thing, but
the music, even on like my first watch through, the music was really jumping out at me. So yeah.
So what's gonna happen?
We're not gonna see Mat.
Okay.
So
you're probably right.
Do we think that the last episode, there's no way it can be just Moiraine and Rand? Like the rest of them have to somehow be involved.
I think that the others are going to be involved in the battle at Tarwin's Gap. I think that there's going to be a huge horde of Trollocs, and it's going to be this epic scene where they're slowly being overrun over time, and wolves come into play from Perrin. They come and help, and Nynaeve does her AoE damage madness, and Egwene like kind of like burns some ropes sometimes a little bit with her tiny little power,
with her little tufts of
she set like a Trolloc's like beard on fire, and he'll be like, no, stamp it out.
And we also have to see Lews Therin next episode.
Oh, because he's cast.
He's cast, and he's supposed to be in the season.
Okay, well, that's cool. We'll see. Yeah, that'll be that. That seems like that would tie in to it. Actually,
I think it would tie in as well.
Yeah, this will be. it'll be interesting. I think it'll be very Lord of the Rings ish, where everyone is acting bravely and doing the right thing, but it's all the whole hope of everyone is actually pinned on the ring bearer, which is in this case the dragon, who is that he's going to have to go have his confrontation and he'll solve their problem, but we'll get to see their character, their strength of character throughout the episode is my
guess. That's a good point. And then I'm curious if they're going to end it on a cliffhanger or not in general.
I hope a little bit. I hope that they give us some questions.
Right. Set up a season 2 and go from there.
Yeah. I mean, they're filming a season 2 now, so may as well.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I thought this was a good one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Obviously, I watched it twice.
Who's the Mac?
Oh.
We don't do
a Mac.
I know.
Although I guess like the Mac, this one would be Moraine.
Yeah, she's just so cutthroat.
Yeah. So who was your favorite?
My fave? I don't know. I just like Nynaeve. I don't know. I was
gonna say Nynaeve too.
I think I just like the loyalty she shows for her people. Like they have their little huddle of she's just like, we have to get back in there, and they can't, but she's still just like, we have to go back for Matt. And she clearly has that, and she is really clearly interested in Lan to the point that she's stalking him. But she's so, I don't know. She allows herself to be vulnerable here at a point where she hasn't shown herself to be vulnerable at any point. And I just I don't know. I admired her, I guess. I liked how she handled herself, and at the end of the day, she's like, she listened to Egwene when Egwene told her, hey, look, your wisdom, you wouldn't think twice if it wasn't for Moraine. And she was able to take that, and you could see that she was clearly thinking about it, a little stricken, but thinking about it. I like the way I like the way Nynaeve did things, handled it.
Yeah. But she still is her own, like still, you can still see her character coming through, like her own personality coming through. Like she's still stubborn.
Yeah. But we got to see a softer, like she's clearly has these emotions, but she's like a Moraine in training, really. Like Moraine has these deep feelings as well that they've hinted at. And but she doesn't let that get in the way of what she has to do. And Nynaeve is very similar. She clearly cares for about all these things, and she cares about Lan and all, but at the end of the day, she's going to do what she needs to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who was your favorite?
It was Nynaeve. And like maybe a close second would be Rand.
Yeah, I would say Rand is my second too.
Yeah. This is not surprising.
I thought maybe it would be Lan for you. I don't know. No.
I liked Rand this episode. He was good.
Well, we got to see him, but he's only really had a few episodes really where he's the kind of the main-ish focus. And it's been a while since he was that, in fact.
Yeah. So even okay, so question then, because now we know that he's the dragon.
Sure.
So do you think that the show will kind of lend its narrative more to Rand now instead of Moraine?
Yeah, I think that this was their opportunity to show Moraine off, and she's a great character. And honestly, if they've hooked her for all the seasons and everything, they clearly have. She's gotten all these really cool, like she does it. She did the new audiobook, dear Lord. But
right.
They clearly value her as an actress. I can't imagine the focus goes entirely off of her. And plus, they do give that really ominous Min thing, like she'll be your downfall. Are they? Who knows what constitutes a downfall? Min doesn't, like, you could fall down the stairs. That's a downfall. and maybe you die from it, or maybe you just
do it regularly.
Some people do, but but does it mean that there's just this, she's banished from the Aes Sedai forever, or does it mean she just literally gets killed because of it's ambiguous. I do think that the focus is going to have to come off of Moiraine some, but I don't think it's going to come off too much, just because they probably just invested so much in Moiraine as a character. They'll focus on her until they can't anymore. Maybe we could say that.
Right.
What do you think?
No, that makes sense.
I'm just thinking out loud. I know I'm like dominating the conversation. Sorry.
No, I was curious what your opinion was, because the show is very Moiraine driven, not Rand driven. So
frankly, I think that Moraine's take on like the way they've done it has made it more interesting.
Yeah, because it makes it easier to explain the story and to explain why all this stuff matters when you have somebody who is like, who knows.
Right.
So
yeah. I thought it was good.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else?
So last episode is set for Christmas Eve.
Yeah. So it comes out Christmas Eve midnight, which means we can watch it Christmas Eve.
Nice.
Which is what we will be doing.
Heck yeah, that'll be great. And hopefully you guys, those of you listening still, hopefully at some point in the next season, I haven't even asked you about this, Sarah, but it would be really fun to try to do some kind of a watch party or something for the next season.
Yeah, we should try and do that.
Yeah, or even like leading up to season 2, maybe we'll try to do a watch party for the last couple episodes or something.
Yeah, we should try and do that. That'd be fun.
I don't even know how it could work, but we could use my personal Twitch account or something, or make our own.
We'll figure it out.
Let us know, guys. Join the Discord server that's going to be in the links in all the different ways you could be consuming this. Go to our Discord server and let us know what would you what would you like to do in terms of interaction and everything? Would you like to do a watch party? How would you like to do it? We'd love to hear from you. Feedback.
Yeah, that would be fun. Oh, I love that idea.
Good. I thought you would. That's why I just spat it out instead of making. If I thought that there was a pretty good chance that you were like, no, let's never do that. That is an awful idea. I wouldn't. If I thought you were going to.
You would have done it anyway, because I can't say no publicly.
That's a good idea. That's very Aes Sedai of you.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. So yeah. Cool. So we will do an episode in between the next episode, I guess, before the finale. We'll be back in a week.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yeah, we'll do our regular podcast.
Yeah, and then we'll be back in a week for the finale.
Yeah. And then we'll still continue with the podcast talking about the books and everything, and show news as it comes up.
Yeah, should be good.
More weekly stuff, but yeah. I'm good though, Sarah. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm good. So thank you everybody for listening. Adam, everyone, may you always find water and shade.